The courtroom felt colder than any battlefield I had ever survived. Polished wood, polished faces, polished lies, everything gleamed except the truth. The judge's gavel hadn't even been lifted before my sister's voice cut across the room like a blade. "She's just a homeless veteran," Camille shouted, her finger stabbing the air at the defense table. "Unstable. Violent. My brother is being manipulated." Every eye turned to Lyra Vance. She sat motionless, hands folded, shackles gleaming against skin still marked by desert windburn. Her hair was tied back the way soldiers do, not neat, just practical. Her uniform was gone, replaced by county gray, but nothing could erase the aura of someone who had lived through warfare and remembered every second. Lyra didn't flinch. Didn't blink. She faced my sister like she was used to being fired at. I kept my silence. Words weren't my weapon today. Camille continued her performance, practiced and cruel. "This woman has no home, no family, no record except a string of violent incidents and PTSD evaluations she refuses to complete. And now she stands accused of killing 2 men in a warehouse a mile from the docks. How can we trust anything she says?" Murmurs rolled through the gallery. The judge raised a hand to quiet them. I stepped forward. Camille's eyes snapped to me. She knew what I was about to do, knew it and feared it. "Don't," she hissed under her breath, but her mask returned before anyone else noticed. I said nothing. My hand moved slowly, deliberately, placing an unmarked CID envelope onto the evidence table. The bailiff retrieved it, passed it to the judge, then to the clerk, who slid out the contents, a glossy, classified photograph stamped with a blacked-out operation code. The room inhaled in one synchronized breath. There she was, Sergeant Lyra Vance. A desert night operation. Crossfire lighting the sand like lightning. And me, bleeding, pinned behind a destroyed vehicle while she shielded me with her own body, firing into the darkness with a steadiness that belonged to someone willing to die if that's what it took to keep me alive. The photo wasn't supposed to exist. The mission wasn't supposed to exist. But it did, and so did the debt between us. A debt my sister wanted erased. A debt neither Lyra nor I had ever spoken aloud. The judge leaned forward. "Prosecution, you were aware of this?" Camille's jaw locked. "Your Honor, that photo has no relevance to the charges. It shows the defendant saving the life of your key witness," the judge interrupted. "It has direct relevance." My sister's composure cracked. Her eyes darted between me and Lyra, and for the first time, she looked afraid, not of losing the case, but of losing control of the narrative she had built so carefully. Lyra finally looked at me. Not with gratitude. Not with hope. With a silent question: "Why did you risk everything?" Because the truth was darker than loyalty, more dangerous than duty. Because the crime she was accused of wasn't hers to carry. And because somewhere between the gunfire and the silence afterward, I had fallen for the one person the world had already thrown away. I held her gaze as the courtroom murmured around us, and for the first time, I realized this wasn't just a trial. It was the opening shot of a war neither of us could walk away from. Rain hammered the roof of the safe house like it had something to confess. The place was supposed to be abandoned. CID hadn't used Safehouse 27B in years, but the generator still hummed with a gut-deep vibration, and the metal door still locked with military precision. Lyra paced near the window, her silhouette carved out by lightning, tense and alert like a predator who hadn't slept in days. She held my service Glock in both hands. Not pointing it at me, just holding it the way a soldier clings to the last thing they trust. "You shouldn't have brought that evidence to court," she said without turning. Her voice was low, almost swallowed by the storm. "You just declared war on your own sister." "CID declared war first," I said, stepping closer. "You're being framed, Lyra. Someone with access. Someone who knows what happened over there." She went still. Not a freeze of fear, more like a soldier calibrating, choosing whether to run, fight, or confess. Her shoulders rose and fell in a slow breath. "They're hunting me because of Afghanistan," she murmured. "Because I survived something I wasn't supposed to survive. Because you did." Lightning cracked open the sky, briefly exposing the scar along her jawline, a relic from the raid that had broken both our lives and bound them together. She didn't turn, but her reflection in the window looked back at me, eyes dark, hollowed by nights spent sleeping under bridges or not at all. I reached out, touching her wrist gently. She didn't pull away, though her fingers tightened around the Glock. In the glass, we looked like shadows stitched together, two people with more scars than futures, united only by secrets that could put bullets in both of our heads. Lyra, I whispered, I don't care what they call you. I know what you are. She finally turned to me, slowly, like it cost her something. Rain streaked down the window behind her, turning her into a ghost edged with silver light. Up close, she smelled like wet wool, gun oil, and exhaustion. Her eyes held mine with a kind of hunger, not just for safety, but for something she'd never admit needing. Then tell me, she said, voice soft but edged with steel. What am I to you? The storm filled the silence. I felt the truth pressing against my ribs, a bruise I'd carried since that night in the desert when she dragged me out of the fire and held me until I stopped shaking. You're the only person I trust, I said. And the only person I'd burn my life down to protect. She breathed in sharply, like the words hit harder than any bullet. Then she moved, swift, desperate, and kissed me. Not soft. Not romantic. A warning, a confession, and a plea all tangled together. But the moment shattered when headlights cut across the safehouse wall. Lyra tore herself back, gun raised instantly, body coiled. Tires, she whispered. East Access Road. My blood ran cold. No one should have been able to track us here. Someone had. And they were close. The cold storage room smelled like metal, disinfectant, and the kind of secrets that never see daylight. Rows of steel drawers lined the walls like silent judges, each holding someone else's unfinished story. Camille stood over one of them, her back to me, her silhouette sharp under the dim yellow bulb that buzzed like an angry insect. You shouldn't have come here, she said, not bothering to turn. Her voice was steady, but the tension in her shoulders told a different story. This isn't a family matter anymore. It became one the moment you forged the evidence, I replied, stepping inside and letting the heavy door hiss shut behind me. Lyra didn't kill those men. You know she didn't. Camille finally faced me, her expression cold enough to frost the air. She wasn't the sister who taught me how to ride a bike, or who covered for me when I broke Dad's antique watch. That girl was gone, replaced by a prosecutor forged in ambition and fear, fear of losing control, fear of the truth, fear of what Lyra Vance represented. You think this is about guilt or innocence? She asked. You have no idea what you're protecting. I know she saved my life. And she ruined mine, Camille snapped, the words cutting through the sterile air like a scalpel. You weren't supposed to survive that raid. Neither was she. The intel she carries can collapse an entire intelligence wing. People will die if she talks. I stepped closer, anger simmering beneath my skin. So you framed her? I contained her, Camille corrected, voice icy. This is bigger than you. Bigger than her. Bigger than us. The light flickered overhead. The drawer between us hummed faintly, the refrigeration system kicking on. The cold seeped into my bones, but it wasn't the temperature that made me shiver, it was the realization that my sister wasn't bluffing. She believed every word she said. She believed her actions were justified. Behind me, a faint metal click broke the silence. Camille's eyes widened, not with guilt, but with recognition. Lyra stepped out from behind one of the storage racks, silent as a shadow, her breath forming a thin mist in the cold air. The gun in her hand wasn't mine this time. It was a morgue security officer's, discreet, unregistered, impossible to trace in the chaos that would follow. Her eyes locked onto Camille with a look I had only seen once before, on the night she pulled me through gunfire, half dead and bleeding, fighting a war no one would acknowledge. You really think love survives in a place like this? Camille said, her voice softer now, almost pitying. You're both dead already. You just haven't accepted it yet. Lyra exhaled, slow and controlled, her finger tightening slightly on the trigger. I don't need it to survive, she said quietly. I just need him to. My heart slammed against my ribs. I stepped between them, one hand on Lyra's arm, the other raised toward Camille. We're not killing each other tonight. That's what they want. For a moment, just a heartbeat, the three of us stood frozen in a triangle of betrayal, loyalty, and something darker than either word could describe. Then the hallway lights outside flickered. Boot steps approached. Not one pair. Many. Camille's eyes shifted to the door. Lyra lifted the gun. And I understood, with a certainty that chilled me deeper than the morgue ever could. Whatever truth waited outside, whatever force had come for us, it was stronger than justice, stronger than blood, and it was about to crash through that door. And none of us were getting out clean.